o'clock. It's time for the council be in session. Mr. Hernandez is here. We have 2 members present. We need 8 more for a quorum. 5 members present. We need 5 more for a quorum. Just check. We have 6 members.
Hey, boss. Tough day today.
Carrying it like this.
Goldberg. We have a quorum, so will the council please come to order? Call the roll.
Burnson, Chick, Gallanter, Goldberg, Hernandez, Holden, Miskowski, Pacheco, Padilla, Ridley, Thomas, Warner, Wax, Walters, Ferraro, 10 members present, a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, the council will please come to order. This is a meeting of the City Council for the City of Los Angeles on the 31st day of May, the year 2000. There are 15 council districts in the city. The regular meeting days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are currently being viewed by cable subscribers throughout the Los Angeles area on Channel 35, and we're also being monitored by council phone. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Fuhr moves, Mr. Hernandez second. If there's no objections, unanimous vote. The next item.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
If there's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item.
Before beginning the regular agenda, item number 16, the Housing Department has requested that item be continued for 30 days to June 30th.
If there's no objections, that will be the order. Next item.
Do you wish to leave the item number 1 on the desk for tomorrow or continue it to Friday?
Yeah, item 1 will continue. Leave it on the desk. Next item.
Items noticed for public hearing, items 2 through 4. Item 2 is a Planning and Land Use Management Committee report.
Anybody want to be heard on 2, 3, or 4?
I need a motion on item number 4 as it only has one signature on the file.
Okay. The public hearing is closed. Any specials, 2, 3, or 4?
On item 3, I would just like to substitute, this is a planning conditional use case in Councilmember Goldberg's district, and we just wanted to substitute the transportation report conditions for the planning department report.
Second.
Okay. Okay, you heard that motion. Thank you. And we need a motion on item 3, and so Mr. Savornich moves on that. Ms. Goldberg moves on it, it's her district. So prepare the roll on 2, 3, and 4, and 4 as amended. Tabulate the vote.
No, that was
11 eyes.
that was 3.
3 as amended, I'm sorry. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
Those are approved.
Forthwith on 3.
Forthwith on 3. Next item,
Forthwith on 2 as well.
forthwith on 2. Next item,
Items for which public hearings have been held, items 5 through 12. Items 11 and 12, there are 2 reports on the file. You may wish to call those special,
on 12.
and also 11.
Yeah, Mr. President, on item 11, I wanted to move the CED report with an amendment from Mr. Pacheco to make sure they report back to the Oversight Committee and the Housing and CRA Committee as well, CED. Item 11.
What report?
That would be
A?
the CED committee report,
Okay.
with a report back to not only the Oversight Committee, but the Housing and CRA Committee, as well as CED.
Okay, that's on 11 and 12.
And 12, I'd also be moving the Transportation Committee report.
Councilmember Chick wanted to call 12 special.
Okay.
Okay, 12 is called special.
And also
I amended it to include the report back.
8, and also number 8 too.
Okay. Any others? If not, prepare the roll on 5, 6, 7, 9, 10.
Have words on 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, oh, they are ordinances. Yeah, we'll hold those ordinances. We're waiting for 12. So we'll have 9, 10, and 11 as recommended by Mr. Hernandez. Prepare the roll on those. Tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
Those are approved. Next. Forthwith on 9. Next item,
Items for which public hearings have not been held, items 13 through 23.
13 through 23. We have cards on 17. We'll call that special. Anybody want to be heard on any of the other items? 13 through 23. If not, will public hearings close on all but 17. Any special by council members? 22 is called special. Any other specials? Any other specials? If not, we have 13 through 23 with the exception of 16, which has been continued. 17 we have cards on, which is called special, and 22, which is called special. Tabulate the vote on the balance.
11 eyes.
Those are approved. Forthwith on 21. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, the closed session you wish to hold on the desk.
Yes.
And next item is item number 25. It's on the continued agenda. It has an ordinance. Do you wish to hold that until we have 12 members?
Yes, we'll leave that on the desk.
Okay. Item number 8 is the next item called special by Councilmember Chick.
Mrs. Chick, you call late special?
Yes, I just had some questions regarding what I think is an increased, enhanced role for Bureau of Engineering. The role they're taking on as program manager of the library construction program. And I wanted to ask in terms of tracking whether it's saving us money to have the Bureau of Engineering take on this larger role. And if we're looking at it in that way, certainly as a role model for the future, if it is in fact saving us money. So I don't know, Mr. Deaton, if it's Bureau of Engineering I want to ask. There's a oversight committee. And this was a report, I believe, to Budget and Finance Committee just on the dollars spent so far, and I think requesting dollars be released from the bond fund to pay city staff that have been involved. And if the question can't be answered now, we could either hold it on the desk, or I would ask that it be held over till Friday. Mr. President, can we hold it on the desk?
We'll hold it on this, we'll take it up a little later. Okay, the next item,
Item number 12, called special by Councilmember Chick also.
And I don't know on this one if the Chair of Public Safety is the right person to ask, Councilmember Miskowski, or staff, but I notice what we're doing here is transferring from the Building and Safety Department to the Transportation Department the mandate to cite abandoned vehicles or vehicles illegally stored or parked on private property. I wanted to hear from the department, and I see we have Department of Transportation staff here, because this is a big switch of transportation employees who normally ticket cars on the public right-of-way, now going onto private property, which we know, unfortunately, is not always the safest thing to do because of both sometimes vicious dogs, et cetera, and people not being happy that you're going on the property. So really what I'm looking for is some discussion, more than what is in the committee report, on the kinds of issues that have been looked at, how they're going to be addressed, how the transition is being made, so that we can be assured that not only will service not be denigrated, but if anything, it will be improved.
Yes, Councilmember, I'm Jimmy Price, Chief of Parking Enforcement Operations. Unfortunately, the Department of Building Safety isn't represented today, but we've worked with them in a joint task force since November of '99 discussing this issue. Not only have we looked at training issues, we looked at technology issues, as well as other consequences that we may face out there. And as a result of it, the individuals that will be selected to participate in this program will be an elite corps of officers who will receive special training from Building and Safety on how to enforce the ordinance, and they will also be equipped with pepper spray to prevent attacks, like you say, from dogs or other belligerent individuals out there. This is an issue that we're going to go shopping for. We intend to respond on complaint only, and we intend to coordinate our efforts not only with Building and Safety, but with LAPD. So we're reasonably certain we can carry this out with minimal risk to the officers.
Mr. Hernandez.
Members of council, I'm glad Mrs. Chick referred to the safety question, but currently Building and Safety had that function, but my staff was mentioning to me that since we basically created the systematic code enforcement system, that their inspectors, as part of the systematic code inspection, were also dealing with abandoned vehicles on property. And so what's before us right now is transferring Building and Safety's function to DOT, but we never talked about the systematic code enforcement part of it, which is the department now that basically goes to inspect properties where there are apartment buildings as well as more than 2 units. It's no longer Building and Safety. In fact, Building and Safety is doing very little residential inspection. How did this task force address that issue?
We're going to have dual responsibility, with DOT being the lead agency when complaints are generated through the city's 1-800 abandoned number, or even if it comes from the council office, we'll take the lead. But that doesn't preclude Building and Safety from addressing the issue also.
Right, but see, again, what I'm trying to explain right now is we as a council have systematically divided the function of who inspects residential property. And in the inner city, a majority of that property is being inspected now by the Department of Housing. Were they part of your task force at all?
No, council member, they were not.
Is it possible for them to be included and to consider playing that function with them too?
Of course. We haven't really received a final revision of the ordinance, so there's ample time for discussion.
Right, and I just wanted to point it out because when you gave the report in DOT committee, I wasn't aware of this. I wasn't even thinking that housing is now inspecting buildings. So building and safety no longer has that responsibility, but housing would still have that responsibility.
Well, we have a representative from Building and Safety here, and I'd like him to respond
Yeah,
to
but
that.
he's not from housing.
No, he's not from housing.
Right, okay. Did you know that housing was also reporting abandoned vehicles, their building and safety, their inspectors?
Yes, housing does the multifamily dwellings. We do these single-family and duplexes.
But did you know that they were also reporting abandoned vehicles?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
See, that's what happens in this small city, this small town. So I just wanted to amend the report and for the ordinance to consider the fact that the housing department has now also been doing that function, and we should give them the same kind of consideration we gave the building and safety department. Okay, and that way we can coordinate it a little bit better.
Oh, absolutely.
Ms. Misakowski?
Thank you. This is something that was going on back in the time when Building and Safety did inspect all housing. Mr. Hernandez is absolutely right that Housing Department now plays a role in it. But what this was meant to do is streamline and eliminate a problem. When the public calls and said there's an abandoned vehicle, how many of our council office staffs have said, well, gee, is it in the right-of-way in a parkway? That's DOT. If it's over the line in an unfinished parkway, it was Building and Safety, or it's the housing, depending on if it's a single family or multiple. This eliminates that. It says DOT is the lead agency. DOT stepped up to the plate. It is what the task force recognized with backup. So I think that they should communicate well with the housing department to say that they will still be doing this as well for multiple. But it's really meant to streamline and make it convenient for everyone to have this number, to have an availability, to know DOT is going to be the one that goes out there. And for the most part, they are vehicles with license plates. For the most part, they are just left there. And this is the agency that's got more experience, more know-how, and more capability. So we wholeheartedly recommended this, as did the Transportation Committee, but I have no problem with the amendment to ask the Department of Transportation and the parking management people who are going to be handling this to contact the Housing Department as well and say in those areas where it's multiple that you're going to be the lead agency, work with them, set up the same protocols that you have with Building and Safety. But I think it's going to lead to a better systematic approach to the abandoned vehicle issue, and to know that there's one agency, which is the lead agency, to contact to go in and take care of the problem.
Holden?
Mr. President, members, each of us who represent our districts have problems over the years with the constituents calling in about abandoned automobiles. And we would report that to Building and Safety, and then 6 months later they get the same telephone call, you report it again to Building and Safety, and it goes on and on and on, and Building and Safety was not doing anything about it. They were busy out inspecting properties, and didn't take the time to address the need to remove abandoned vehicles or to cite the owners of abandoned vehicles. So we gave that authority to Department of Transportation, and the Department of Transportation has been doing a good job. And there's no reason why they should not be the lead agency to assume the responsibility for both private and public properties. They're doing the job pretty much now. They know it well, and I don't understand why we just don't move forward. And I ask for an aye vote in the committee report, public safety.
Okay, what do we have before us now? Is there?
You have the Transportation Committee report as amended by Councilmember Hernandez to include the Housing Department.
Okay, prepare the roll on Mr. Hernandez's amendment. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Now we have the report as amended. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Members, we have ordinances 4, 5, 6, 7, and 25.
25 from those?
Huh?
Could you segregate 25?
Yeah, okay, 5, 6, and 7. Prepare the roll on those ordinances. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. We're going to take 25 now. Excuse Mr. Fuhr.
Forthwith on 5 and 6.
Forthwith on 5 and 6, and number 12. And we have item 25 now. Prepare the roll on that. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. We'll send that forthwith. Next item.
Item number 17, called special. There is a card from the public on the item.
We have a lot of people who want to be here. Mr. Padilla, you have an introduction.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Actually, request forthwith on item 25 as well.
I
And I do have an introduction to make. Councilmember Joel Wax is not here, and there's an elementary school in his district, Brainerd Elementary, which is just outside of my district in Lakeview Terrace, and there's a group of students here visiting us today in City Council. I'll ask them to please rise in case we couldn't identify them in the audience. They're actually members of the Student Council at Brainerd Elementary, and they're here watching the City Council in action during their visit to City Hall in downtown Los Angeles. So we wanted to greet them and welcome them to City Hall. And who knows, one of these days in the future, one of them might be sitting in our seats in the City Council. So if you could please help me join them. And I also wanted to mention that their school is also making tiles which will be placed and utilized in the design of the new library in Hanson Dam that is scheduled to begin construction this November. So I wanted to thank them for coming today and for their involvement in the community.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla. Members of the council, item 17, Mr. Ridley Thomas, did you want us to make some comments? We have several people who want to be heard, so let's have a short public hearing.
All right. Then I'll move a 10-minute public hearing, Mr. President.
Okay. All right, we have a Jack Broadbent et al., Peter Whittingham, and then Robert Selnick. Go ahead, Mr. Broadbent.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Jack Broadbent. I'm a Deputy Executive Officer with the South Coast AQMD. I'm here to thank Councilman Ridley Thomas in convening the Environmental Quality Committee to address the issues of converting the city's fleet vehicles over to clean burning fuels. And specifically, the AQMD, of course, is interested in the conversion of those vehicles over to alternative fuel vehicles. On behalf of the AQMD, we are fully supportive of the recommendation from the committee. And this is because diesel particulate is a known human carcinogen, which represents about 70% of the toxic risk from just breathing the air here in Southern California. Diesels also remain a major contributor of our smog program, or smog problem here in Southern California. And indeed, we are looking, as is the state and EPA, towards efforts to address diesel particulate, as they are both a source of toxic air contaminant and a smog producer. I want to thank Councilman Bernson for establishing the Technical Advisory Committee, and the AQMD appreciates and looks forward to serving on that Technical Advisory Task Force as referenced in item number 17. Thank you.
Peter Whittingham, and then Robert Selnick, and please, we only have 10 minutes.
Good morning, Mr. President and council members. My name is Peter Whittingham, and I'm with the firm of Environmental Mediation Incorporated, speaking today on behalf of Cummins Engine Company. Cummins would like to commend Councilman Ridley Thomas for his leadership in bringing to the council for your consideration a reasoned, comprehensive policy statement that recognizes the importance of balancing environmental responsibility against the need to provide services in a safe, cost-effective, and reliable manner. We believe the council is acting in the most prudent manner possible by creating the Interdepartmental Alternative Fuel Task Force and directing this group to make recommendations to the council regarding the South Coast AQMD's proposed rules 1191, 1192, and 1193. Cummins Engine Company is a worldwide leader in the production of heavy-duty engines, responsible for half of the heavy-duty engines currently on the road. Cummins also is an international leader in the manufacture of CNG engines, providing these engines to the LA MTA and a number of other transit agencies and government entities here in Southern California and elsewhere. However, while Cummins sells some 300,000 diesel engines annually, they sell only 1,500 CNG engines each year, a testament to the relative infancy of this technology. Cummins is dedicated to a fuel-neutral approach, supporting each city, county, and public agency under individual engine fuel procurement policies. To that end, we have provided to the AQMD staff and the members of its governing board an alternative to the currently proposed rules. This alternative is a voluntary, incentive-driven approach which incorporates fleet averaging to address both oxides of nitrogen and particulate matter emissions, the two pollutants most commonly cited by the district when discussing mobile source diesel emissions. We believe by providing agencies with the utmost flexibility and by encouraging them to be aggressive in reducing the emissions from their fleets, we can achieve greater environmental benefits far quicker at a much lower cost than the $177 million annual price tag of the AQMD's proposed clean fleet rules. Since mobile source markets are global, advanced technologies are best fostered by harmonized standards that leave all technological options open to worldwide market demands, incentives, and innovations. Mandated conversions, on the contrary, quickly deplete limited research and development dollars and thereby disrupt the lead time and stability required to foster technological advancements. Clean diesel technologies, fuels, and aftertreatment devices exist today to make PM and hydrocarbon emissions from heavy-duty diesel engines as clean as or cleaner than alternative-fueled engines. In addition, the NOx emissions gap will be narrowed substantially by October 2002, and all heavy-duty engines will achieve additional 90% NOx reductions by 2007. The infrastructure cost of a mandated conversion to alt fuels will be extremely prohibitive and may cause the diversion of limited funds and from other public services, as could higher maintenance and operation costs. In conclusion, Cummins encourages you to consider carefully the comments provided by your various department heads. These experienced men and women have stated their support for the goal of achieving clean air, but desire to do so as part of a voluntary commitment which capitalizes on the competitive pricing found in an open market. It's important to note that in all of the cases cited by the AQMD where public fleets successfully converted to some level of alternative fuel use, these conversions were done voluntarily. Thank you for considerations and good day.
Listen, we only have about 6 minutes left, so there's 6 of you that want to be heard, so take a minute, please. Robert Selnick and then Chuck Levat.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Robert Selnick. I'm the chair of the South Coast Clean Air Partnership, which is a coalition of school districts, transit authorities, chambers of commerce, members of the oil industry, and the LA Convention Center Bureau. We are in favor of a fuel-neutral policy for the region, which would include low-sulfur diesel. In taking that position, we would cite you to the recent comments of Carol Browner, head of the U.S. EPA, who in announcing low-sulfur diesel fleet rules for the country stated that low-sulfur diesel at 15 parts per million or lower is cleaner than natural gas. We would also point out that the entire European Union has a low-sulfur diesel program as a response to its Kyoto commitments to lower greenhouse gas emissions, and that low-sulfur diesel is more energy efficient by up to 28% than is natural gas. We wanted to make one additional comment, please. The economic differential between a conversion to a natural gas fleet and the inclusion of low-sulfur diesel, which gives you the same environmental benefits, would be about $627.5 million.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Chuck Levat and then Julie Masters.
Good morning. My name is Chuck Letavik. I'm with Arco Products Company, who's recently been purchased by BP Amoco. As a leader in clean fuels development, we are leading a large project to validate the emission reductions capable from using ultra-low sulfur diesel. That program encompasses 180 vehicles across the South Coast. Some of those vehicles are LA City vehicles, and we appreciate the response that we've gotten from the city and their cooperation. The initial results from that program are very impressive. We're getting particulate hydrocarbon and CO levels down at CNG levels, and as previous testimony indicates, NOx emissions from both types of vehicles are coming closer together. We appreciate
Thank you very much.
people
Julie
looking out
Masters, then Martin Schlager.
Good morning. My name is Julie Masters. I'm an attorney with the Natural Resources Defense Council. I'm here today to urge you to adopt the alternative fuel policy that is before you today. As you may know, diesel exhaust has been listed as a known human carcinogen under Proposition 65 since 1990 and as a toxic air contaminant by CARB since 1998. More recently, the South Coast Air Quality Management District concluded in its MATES 2 study that over 70% of the cancer risk in the South Coast air basin comes from diesel particulates. Even today's diesel technologies have not been proven to reduce emissions of cancer-causing chemicals that are so abundant in diesel exhaust.
Could we have quiet over here,
Adopting
please?
this alternative fuel policy today would not be a big step for the city, but it would be an important one. This city is already a proven leader in discouraging the use of diesel vehicles. Through your participation in the Department of Energy's Clean Cities program, you have committed to accelerate and expand the use of alternative fuel vehicles. This policy is also consistent with the position just taken last week by 11 members of this City Council Council in a letter to LAMTA urging that agency to continue to purchase only alternative fuel vehicles. Finally, we support your decision to include the South Coast AQMD...
You're going to get it all in, aren't you?
Sorry, on the Technical Advisory Committee. Thank you very much.
Okay, Martin Schleger and Todd Campbell and Rick Price. You got 2 minutes.
Hi, thank you, Martin
All three of you.
Martin Schlager, Sierra Club. I'll be brief. This is a no-brainer. Vote for it. Mark Ridley Thomas has done a great job putting this together and listening to all sides. Sierra Club supports it. We continue supporting cleaning up the air. I'm sorry the kids that were here aren't able to see Vote for Clean Air. Thank you.
No wonder you wanted a public hearing. Todd Campbell?
President, council members, a Coalition for Clean Air. My name is Todd Campbell with the Coalition for Clean Air, and the coalition supports the motion brought by council member Mark Ridley Thomas. We also thank your wise decision in including the South Coast Air Quality Management District to be included into the task force. Ladies and gentlemen, the issue of diesel exhaust exposure in the city of Los Angeles and its basin is significant. I want to tell you also that the diesel industry continually tries to point out that Carol Browner in the LA Times says that diesel engines will be cleaner than natural gas. They're misquoting it. They're saying
Thank you very
they
much.
actually will be cleaner by 2007.
Morning, City Council. Rick Price with the gas company supporting this motion today. We ask that the council stay the course. You've made a number of decisions for clean air. The MTA decision, the inclusion of trucks for Sunshine Landfill, the inclusion of clean air taxis for your taxi cab franchise. We ask that you stay the course this morning. Thank you.
Okay, the public hearing is closed. Mr. Ridley Thomas, I'll call on you first. Change the time.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. What you have before you is an opportunity to make, once again, an affirmative statement for not only environmental quality, but essentially clean air. That which is before us is a result of 2 public hearings where we heard from a wide range of views on the matter of clean air, and more specific than that, the issue of fuel. Our recommendation today is to adopt a policy to support and implement alternative fuel applications by essentially supporting the regulations that balance environmental benefits against operational concerns such as those which include safety, efficiency, and cost effectiveness. Secondly, Mr. President and members of the council, we recommend that we establish the Interdepartmental Alternative Fuel Task Force. We give them specific instructions to appear before the Environmental Quality and Waste Management Committee within 2 weeks with their instructions having been specified pursuant to this motion or committee recommendation. The hearing on this matter will be scheduled in EQ on June the 7th. We are on a tight timeline. Mr. President, members of the council, you'll recognize that we have input from the AQMD as well as those who are environmental activists as well as industry representatives. We are intent on advancing our efforts to produce policies, promulgate policies that raise the standard with respect to environmental quality, more specifically that of clean air. And with that, Madam President, may I simply say that you have a policy recommendation before you and an implementation plan that I would trust will enjoy unanimous support.
We'll find out. Mr. Burnson.
Yes, members of the council, first I want to commend Mr. Ridley Thomas for his work on this in the committee. I have a couple of amendments which I believe are friendly amendments, and I will read them because They are 17A and 17B. 17A is, whereas neither LAC, MTA, or AQMD has had the opportunity to conduct or complete a study to determine the reliability of green diesel buses, nor of diesel buses or other diesel vehicles using particulate traps and low sulfur fuel, I hereby move that we encourage these agencies to initiate an ultra-low sulfur fuel diesel test program to evaluate the installation of continuously regenerating traps, CRTs, or other similar particular filters on a specific number of test vehicles. Now, we're talking about existing vehicles, not new vehicles that they would purchase. The following successful completion in February 2001, the ultra-low sulfur diesel fuel test program currently underway by MTA, the city support programs at MTA and other municipal bus operators in the Southern California Air Quality Management Region to install CRTs or other similar particular filters on their entire remaining diesel fleet, projected to remain in service in at least the next 3 years. And I further move the city continue to be a leader in the area of clean fuel vehicle technology, including exploration of new technologies such as fuel cells to accomplish the goal of improving ambient air quality in the region. 17B is, and I won't read the whereases, I'll just read what it moves. I therefore move that item 17 regarding clean fuels policy on today's May 31st, 2000 City Council agenda be amended to include consideration of retrofit technologies for existing vehicles, meaning that the vehicles we now have in service should be considered for a retrofit and CRT traps so that we can be a leader in the area of making our air clean. And I would so move, and I would hope those would be accepted, those two amendments would be accepted as friendly amendments.
Mr. President, I do accept these as friendly amendments. These are, in effect, to be a part of the policy considerations and
Right.
or when the working group sets about its task, it takes these two amendments under consideration.
I might add that these amendments are not different from what I will be introducing in the June meeting of the South Coast Air Quality Management Board, and that will be for the board to undertake a policy of bringing into play a project which would require all diesel vehicles in the basin, whether they be private, public, or school district, or whatever, to be retrofitted to clean diesel and particulate traps. This will tremendously reduce the amount of proliferation in our air. I won't talk again, John, just let me finish a second. I might add that the district will probably move to stop the purchase of new diesel vehicles in the basin in the very, very near future.
All right, Mr. Fuhrer.
Thanks, Mr. President. I just wanted to speak briefly first because everybody else has said what a great leader Mark Ridley Thomas is. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to say what a great leader Mark Ridley Thomas is. That's right. So, but Mark has actually done a very good job on this, which I think we should all thank him for. And I also wanted to thank Mr. Burnson. You know, Hal has not sought credit for this, but before the MTA's vote last week, it was very unclear what the MTA was going to do regarding their acquisition of new buses, whether they be clean or very toxic diesel buses. And Hal was really an extraordinary leader that day. And they took a very important step, and others followed his lead. So I think the spirit of his amending motions today is consistent with that effort to try to take every step we can to clean up our air here. And I just wanted to thank both colleagues publicly for doing very important work.
That was by an 8-7 vote, Mark. Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, Mr. Burnson's motions are helpful, both 17A and 17B.
You're right.
We make the point that when we talk about retrofit technologies, we are speaking generically rather than any specific technology at this point in time, because there are other things that can and should be pursued. With respect to 17A, I think it would be appropriate to specify that with respect to the content of this motion, we have MTA, we have AQMD, but CARB, Mr. Burnson, is the entity that would ultimately certify, so we should probably include the air, we should include CARB along with MTA and AQMD because ultimately it has to go by them. All right? Okay? So move. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Mr. Holden.
My time running yet? I move the previous
about
question.
over.
I move the previous question.
What did you say? Oh, my God.
I think he was tired of Mark getting all these compliments. Okay, no one else wants to be heard, so we have, there's, the two friendly amendments have been accepted, so prepare the roll on 17 as amended. Tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
That is approved forthwith on that.
Thank you.
Next item,
Item number 22, called special by Councilmember Goldberg.
Ms. Goldberg, you called 22 special?
Well, apropos of our conversation yesterday, we had talked about the need to evaluate contractors before we went on, and one of the contractors in these three contracts was one of the people that actually started the living wage discussion and worker retention discussion. And I'm wondering if we just have, before we extend these three contracts, if we have any evaluation have been done at all of whether or not they're meeting living wage, for example, or any other problems with any of the contracts in these three contracts?
Tony DeClue from General Services Department.
I need to hear the answer. Thank you.
The item before you is an extension of three contracts for security, one with Elite, one with Intercon, and one with International Security Services. These contracts have been in place now for about 3.5 years. The living wage ordinance was put in place after the contracts came on board, and after the living wage was put in place, General Services then worked with these three contractors to make sure that they were in compliance with the living wage ordinance, and to our best knowledge, between the time it was passed and now, they have been in compliance with the living wage. What we're asking for now is just simply to extend it for 3 months or for 6 months so that we can put a new RFP on the street, and that new RFP will be, I believe it's scheduled for ITGS committee next Wednesday, so it'll be in committee. We'll do the whole evaluation process.
Okay, well, my interest in this is that at some point or another, we need to establish, I think, colleagues, before extensions are brought to us, before new contractors are signed on, that we've really begun somewhere to evaluate, particularly those about whom we've had complaints, which is true at least in one of the three contractors, whether or not we've actually done some on-site inspection to make sure that they are in compliance with all of the rules of the contract. We don't have that policy now, so I can't hold you accountable for it, but I did want to raise it because I do recognize one of these three names of these companies as one of the ones we had trouble with, and it'd be a shame to give them 6 more months to do a bad job because we haven't actually gone and looked to see that they are actually in compliance as opposed to them telling us that they are in compliance. So I'm not going to stop this because that isn't the policy of the city yet. You couldn't, but I did want to raise it. It is time for us to begin to say, even to extensions, even to whatever, that we should have some sort of on-site evaluation to make sure that employees were interviewed to make sure that what they tell us they're being paid is what they're actually getting, because we find in other places that's not always true, as you know. And in any case, I wanted to raise it again because I thought we had an interesting and I think useful conversation yesterday about the need to evaluate contractors and to evaluate products before we continue to use them. So that's all. As I said, I just wanted to ask a question. I'm not going to try to stop this.
Yes, I just wanted to also remind us that besides the evaluation of contractors, we also have adopted a new policy about long-term contracts to try to avoid extending contracts instead of going out again to RFP. How long did you say these contracts have been in place?
These contracts have been in place for 3.5 years.
Yeah. And again, whatever new policy that we adopted in terms of notifying on long-term contracts and reviewing also is not yet in place to affect these. But I think both policies are going to bring about improvements. And since I sit on the committee that will be looking at this, I'll be interested in the full evaluation before we do anything more than a very brief extension. Thank you.
Mrs. Walters?
Thank you. The contract for at least one of these, it seems to me, was renewed just a few months ago for a short few months period until this RFP could go out. Can you tell me when that was? And was it for all three of these or just the one?
It was for all three of them. We came in November and asked for an extension of the contracts for 6 months, and we asked
And so
for
now
time.
you're asking for 6 more months. So they haven't been, they were in place 3 years and you asked for 6 months. That's how it got to the 3.5 years. So Ms. Chick, you were asking about how long. They were in force 3 years and they came back last November for a 6-month extension, and now it's another 6-month extension. You know, and like Ms. Goldberg said, at least one of these have been problematical. And if you needed a 6-month extension in November, why do you need another 6-month extension now?
The RFP will be in ITGS committee on next, I guess it's on June 7th.
But you knew the 6 months was that you had gotten a 6-month extension. Why didn't it get to the committee in time to have an RFP on the street when that 6 months was expired?
We simply had difficulty in preparing the RFP. It's a pretty complex RFP. We wanted to make sure that all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed, and we spent quite a bit of time between ourselves and city attorney making sure that it did the things that we wanted to do to make sure we don't have the problems we currently have had. In addition to that, we've done some preparatory work. We've put the word out in the field, and we have about 60 contractors who now are look like they're encouraged to bid on the contract. So we're moving along. It just simply took a while, longer than we anticipated initially.
So these folks are getting a year's extension. That's what, if it's ready to go, if you have a contractor identified sometime in the next 6 months, then they will have gotten a year's extension that they did not bid for.
Yes, they will.
What happens if you get the RFP out on the street and you identify successful bidders before the 6 months is up? Can you immediately drop the contract with these folks?
We intend to do that. We intend to do it on a month-to-month basis. We're only asking for an extension up to 6 months, but as soon as we get the contracts in place, we'll bring those contracts back through for approval, and we'll terminate these.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on. Mr. Savornich.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. I was happy to second this motion by Councilwoman Chick. I think this is something that needs to be done, but as we, in fact, as I look at this only goes until next Friday?
The contract expires June 2nd. It would go for 6 months from that day.
Okay. One of the things to which I have some concerns was the quality of service that has been articulated by some of my colleagues in regards to some of these firms, some but not all. And my office personally has had poor experiences with 2 of the contractors. And I think that the Department of General Services is very well aware of the incidents to which I speak. As I mentioned to you colleagues during the budget process, we have a brand new $20 million municipal building open in the harbor area that has 1 full-time general services security guard, which is absolutely terrific, which is augmented by this private security companies. And I believe we have gone through 2 of the companies under contract at the San Pedro Municipal Building are having to ask to have one of the companies removed and the other one having repeated incidents of rather poor service. And so what my concern is that are these the only 3 contractors for security services that we can pool upon in the Department of General Services?
Yes, these are the only 3 contractors. We're hoping that when we issue the next RFP, we have a substantial wider array of contractors from which people can select from.
Does the proprietary departments such as airports, water and power, or harbor have security agreements in place with other contractors to which General Services can take advantage of the same pricing policy that the proprietary departments have for their services, or are these 3 contractors also their only sources?
These are citywide contractors. This actually are put out to bid under our responsibility as a purchasing agent, and these services are available to all city departments, including the proprietaries.
But do the proprietaries also have other companies besides these that are providing security services under their own RFPs that might have been sent out and consummated with a contract?
To my understanding, they use these contracts.
Okay, they don't use any others?
To my understanding, they do not.
Okay. So if we have had poor performance on 2 or all 3 of these contracts, there's no way to remedy those except to keep slapping the wrists of these companies to make sure that they perform better. I think one of the best ways to tell them that they are not performing is not to continue their contract.
In a case where we have poor contracts, we occasionally have a contract review board, at which time, if there's sufficient evidence, we can eliminate the contract from these contractors. We're open to move forward as quickly as we can, though, in the RFP process, and certainly when we do the RFP process, we will evaluate these contractors in terms of their performance.
Are you expecting that we can complete the RFP process before 6 months?
Yes.
Okay, then can we do it in 3?
No.
Okay, so you're telling us that you need the 6?
I'll need between 3 and 6 months. We'll expedite it as quickly as we possibly can. Certain timeframes come into factor. We can't release the RFP until it's approved by council, and it should be coming back to council in 2 weeks. And we need 30 days to publish it. There needs to be about a 30-day to 60-day window for a contractor to respond and the evaluation.
And I appreciate that. I believe, my time is up, but what you are also telling me, for some of us on this council, is that the amount of time that you need in order to finally put to rest some of these issues of the security services is half of the time that I have left in office. And so when you come to this council talking about 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, you leave us with issues that are unresolved that we've never been able to resolve in our tenure. And so that's why expediting these issues are so much more important than maybe some think.
All right. What do we have before us now? Just a committee report? Prepare the roll.
It's a motion.
Huh? It's a motion. Prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Could we ask for that to be forthwith?
Forthwith on that.
Thank you.
Next item.
Mr. President, item number 8 is still on the desk.
Yeah, Mr. Deaton, item 8.
Actually, the model that we're using in this, which we've used in others, but in this one, this particular instance with the steering committee and Bureau of Engineering doing the operations, doing the engineering and the construction. Right now we have 32 projects. One is behind schedule, about half are ahead of schedule, and the other on schedule. Everything is on budget. Actually, the I'll have to report back to you on that.
Yeah, that's
I'd be happy to. As you know, but on schedule, on budget, everybody's working well together, and I'm pleased with this this model, everything is working in this particular instance very, very well.
So the role of project manager that the Bureau of Engineering is taking is not a new role in this bond oversight, in this most recent bond oversight?
No, it's not a new role, but it's given the structure, it's one that we're building on and getting a little more sophisticated in how we're approaching it with the steering committee based of the city administrative office, my office, the library department, et cetera. Also the project manager being engineering, bringing an outside construction management firm to assist, et cetera. And I think that we've so far also been able to withstand construction costs are actually going up pretty substantially. Thus far, that has not created a financial problem. We're watching it, and hopefully we'll be out to bid and get the bids are coming back a little higher than we anticipated, but still within the contingency that we allowed for. We're hoping to make sure that all that's done before construction costs get away from us. But there's been quite a turnaround in the last year to 2 years, and it's on an
I just
upward
think
curve.
it's important, colleagues, that we keep watching how we're improving the oversight of our bond expenditure programs so that we make sure whatever improvements still remain that we implement. But I'm pleased to hear that with the city management that we're staying on time, on budget, and after you answer Councilmember Galanter's question in the next report on sustainability, we'll know if it's with quality as well. Thanks.
Fine.
All right, Mr. Hernandez.
How you doing, Mr. Deaton?
Better than yesterday, Mr. Hernandez.
Yeah, I take it the one library that's behind schedule's mine, Pico Union?
That could be.
Or it could be one in each one of our council districts, but...
No, it's just one of 32, and if yours is behind schedule, it must be the one.
Yeah, no, well, we still haven't been able to basically find a site, and that's been part of the process.
It's difficult to build them when you don't know where they're going to be built.
And I've been meeting with library staff on an ongoing basis because we have the Arroyo Seco Regional Library, we have the Chinatown Library, we have the Cypress Park Library, as well as the Pico Union Library. Is Pico Union the one?
Right, actually, 2 of the 3 properties are in escrow, and we anticipate acquisition shortly.
Okay.
So we actually have made some progress there.
And I know that construction will start fairly soon on most of the sites.
Right.
They're looking at November and January. Have there been any, and I guess what I'm trying to find out, have there been any internal adjustments that we would have to make in any of these processes that you're seeing? One of the realities I have is, and I've mentioned it before on several occasions, now it's 395 days. And so I don't know of any of the libraries that are open in that time frame. But when we started meeting, that was the intent. And so what is your anticipated time frame for most of these libraries to be built?
I'd give us a day or two, and we'll give you a full list of all the libraries and when the anticipated dates of completion and opening are, with a whole list.
And what's interesting to me today that is very different from before, because I've been working with the library staff on an ongoing basis, and I think they're doing a phenomenal job. And we have problems like architects' renderings being approved by CRA or being approved by other commissions like the Cultural Affairs and these kinds of things. And how we can expedite those things, it's not so much as important during the 395 days I'm going to be here, but in terms of a message we send to constituents and taxpayers that the City of LA can build public works projects in a timely manner. And that's part of why I would like to know what those kinds of dates are like. We're tracking it on an ongoing basis in my office, but what I'm finding is it's more the city family working within itself that creates a lot of the delays. And it's beyond just the oversight committee, but really commissions and these other kinds of authorities that have to give approval.
Right. The internal city process is a complicated one. One of the reasons for the steering committee, however, is that with representatives of the city administrative office and our office and others, is that we're not there to design, we're there to cut through the red tape and get the thing done. And so that's our main function is to try to, if those things are happening, to find out why it's happening and expedite that. So on a project-by-project basis, that's more our role than any other thing.
Oh, no, and I'm finding that role serving a great purpose. I mean, every time I drive down Figueroa Street or drive by Elvira Street, I'm finding that red tape can be cut and projects can get done. And
it's just a matter of the will to do something.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anything else on this item number 8? If not, prepare the roll, tabulate the vote.
Mr. President, could you do
14
forthwith?
ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
Mr. President, you have special one before you. It's a motion presented by Councilmember Goldberg, and the city attorney will explain the need to make the findings.
How's everything going?
Thank you, Mr. President. On May 19th, the Board of Civil Service Commissioners acted to consolidate several classes into a new class called Supply Services Manager. This motion would take jurisdiction of that action and refer the item to Personnel Committee because there's a question about the fiduciary role of the professional purchasing in the city contracting process. The council would need to make the findings that the need to act arose after the posting of the agenda and that there's an immediate need to act. And also they would then need to take an action on the Prop 5.
Okay, prefer the roll on the findings, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
The matter is before us. Any discussion? If not, prepare the roll on special one, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
Mr. President, next item, you have comments from the public on non-agenda items.
Well, we have somebody that wants to be heard on the closed session item. It doesn't say which one, but it's 24. So Homer Edward Crockett. Homer Edward Crockett, did you want to be heard on this? Just a second. Mr. Crockett, are you going to be?
Yes, right here. I'm talking about a situation that consists of an agenda of a false arrest, something like that. In the consistence of, it says in the closed section of an allegation, an alleged claim that something that happened to me that I turned into city council and to the Board of Supervisors has the knowledge of the district attorney, the state attorney general, members of Congress and senators, and hopefully state assembly, and the governor and U.S. Senate, because I have a basic problem with something to deal with a false arrest of real estate, and it consists of that. And I sent a couple letters to Councilman Nate Holden, and I have made a couple police reports of complaints of officers, maybe like 36, that I have a letter from the police commission, and they looked at it, and it stated for the record that it's nothing wrong. And I mean, I actually have burden of proof that I found out that some paperwork has been forged, documents of allegation of purchasing a property has been forged. Some bonds has been forged. I have documents of actually going to court, and it was dismissed. Consist of other things. Is what they call phony conspiracy papers. I found a newspaper article that was dated. Can't exactly see the date, but it was dated late '98. July, I think 12, 1999, and it talks about fraudulent conspiracy papers of people taking people's property. And it's really bad. I bring it to the attention of Councilman Nate Holden, and that's what I hopefully came to the city council meeting right here today with the other agendas, to let someone know that this is a serious problem of, I have officers that have arrested a person for a false arrest and then actually had the complaint go to another sector of taxpayers' money towards the LA County Sheriff Department, transporting a person around on a bus for no reason, and then actually trying to give this person a mental problem. And right now I'm like qualified to take the state bar, and I'm like studying for it, and I went to court and I fought against it, and it's just an ongoing problem. And I'm like wondering if I can ever get the paperwork to the chief of police, because I took it to the police commission and I found out they let me see the files, and it's people in the office taking papers out of there, taking complaints out, and I have a documented letter, and they saying it's nothing wrong. It's legally that they could just arrest a person and give them some kind of mental problem, a paper, like something is not wrong, and I have 36 complaints, like almost 20, and they won't even look at it. I just got a letter saying it's nothing wrong, and I'm saying I really tried to get to Nate Holden. I left him a letter and a couple things. I went to Congressman Maxine Waters. I went to even Mr. Waxman looked in it. A lot of people. It's just I can't believe that. I went to even try to get a letter to the chief of police, and I even had a person even take my mail, like someone sent the letter in, and they said he don't belong there anymore. That's how bad it's getting. I just really wish someone, can look into this matter. Because this is...
Okay, thank you, Mr. Crockett. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, the next item.
Do you wish to clear the desk before going into closed session?
Yes, we're going to go into executive session, so all those people not involved with the executive session, please leave the council chamber. In the meantime, we'll clear the desk off.
Motions for posting and referral?
Unanimous vote.
Council has excuses on the desk. Councilmember Fuhr requests to be excused to arrive late on Friday, June 2nd. Personal business meets council policy.
What date?
Friday, June 2nd.
Unanimous vote.
And also, Councilmember Galante requests to be excused Friday, June 2nd. City business meets council policy.
Unanimous vote.
That clears the desk.
Okay. Okay, we're going to go into executive session, so Eddie, move fast, will you? Next item.
The desk is clear, Mr. President.
All right, we do have adjourning motion, so would everyone please stand? Mrs. Chick?
Yes, Mr. President, colleagues, I ask that we adjourn in memory of Mr. Darnell Anthony Underwood, who was, unfortunately, the brother of one of our city employees who's a security officer at LAX, Chucky Underwood, who shared a home in Encino with his brother Darnell, who passed away last Friday in a house fire. He tried to get back into the house, Chucky did, to save his brother, but the house was completely engulfed in flames and he was unsuccessful. Darnell was 49 years old. He lived in Los Angeles for 21 years. He loved children, especially handicapped children. He volunteered many hours working and counseling with them at Christian camps. He's survived by 4 sisters, his twin Darlene, Dolores, Verda, and Shirley, and 3 brothers, Chucky, Alvin, and Lawrence.
Yeah, I'd ask that we adjourn in memory of Tex Beneke, who passed away. He's a big band leader who succeeded Glenn Miller and was part of the Glenn Miller organization before.
A lot of you young ones don't remember Tex Beneke, but Mrs. Galanter?
I have 2, Mr. President. First, I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Jim Bunch, whom you all last saw when we were discussing the Department of Airports purchasing his hotel. He's been the president of the Westchester Chamber of Commerce, where his campaign theme was putting the West back in Westchester. He wore cowboy hats all the time. He had a horse ranch in addition to the hotel in Westchester. He had a ranch up in Central California and spent a lot of his time back and forth, took youngsters up for trips to the ranch, and was a very hardworking and well-loved member of the community. Died suddenly a couple of days ago. He's survived by his partner Lance and child from a previous marriage. I'd also like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Casey Shearer, who was a 21-year-old young man, student at Brown University, and was the youngest child of Ruth Yanata Goldway, the former mayor of Santa Monica, and her husband Derek Shearer, former planning commissioner in Santa Monica and former ambassador to Finland. He's survived by his parents and a brother and a sister.
Mr. Holden?
Mr. President, members, I ask that we adjourn in memory of Mr. Edmund Antonio Ward. He was a young 80 years old and was a longtime resident of the 10th District, where he was very active. Survived by his daughter, Edwina, granddaughter, Jasmine, grandson, Joseph, and a host of relatives and friends. He will be missed.
Hold on. Mr. Ridley Thomas?
Mr. President, members of the council, would you join me in adjourning in memory of Wilma Virginia Hale, who moved to Los Angeles at an early age and attended several of the local public schools. She took on the responsibility of raising her 10 brothers and sisters after the death of her mother in 1955. She took pride in instilling in her siblings hard work, dedication, trust, and honesty. She was very proud of her family and extremely proud of her own son, Gregory Walker, who became the lead singer with the 8 Grammy Award winner, Santana. And it is noted no matter where Gregory performed in the United States, Ms. Hale was in attendance. Wilma Hale loved people of all races and creeds, and people loved her. She was not only a mother to her family, but also a mother to many of her close friends. It is noted that she knew the art of salespersonship, and for many years was a top salesperson for the Avon Company. She was an active member of the Ward African Methodist Episcopal Church, and she was active in several voter registration campaigns. Ms. Hale is survived by her father, Andrew Hale, and her son, Gregory, as well as a host of brothers and sisters and friends.
Mr. President, I'd like to join Mr. Ridley Thomas on Ms. Hale's adjourning motion. I met her back in 1974 when her son did a one-man show at Occidental College. But I was also a teammate of his on the basketball team, and I'd like to join on the adjourning motion.
Right.
All right, call the roll. All right, the council is adjourned.